iRacing.
Spa is the scene of epic Formula One battles over the years, and with these classic cars, the virtual version has likewise seen countless memorable contests. Let's see if we're blessed with another today as we get ready to watch round 10 of the Lotus 49 Grand Prix Legend Series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Alex Goldschmidt. Behind the scenes is our director Christian Duploy, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Spa is a gem of a racetrack, so let's show you why with our track guide. Welcome to Spa-Francorchamps. Less than an hour's drive east from the German border, this Belgian track has come to define racing for many different eras in the sport. It's no wonder it continues to entrance drivers when you look at the stats. The 7 kilometers over the course of a lap includes more than 330 feet in elevation change as it weaves its way through the Ardennes forest. Packed into this is 19 turns, some of which are considered among the most famous in the world of racing. Corners like La Source and Blanchiment have been on the lips of drivers for decades. But by far the most notorious is Eau Rouge and Rétillon. Typically referred to in name by just the first section, it dips low and swings left, then compresses and climbs to the right up a massive hill. The sequence ends with a completely blind crest that sweeps to the left and leads onto the incredibly long Kemmel Straight. The bravery required to be fast through there will pay off towards one of the most popular passing spots at Lecombe. Eau Rouge is exemplary of the rest of the circuit though. Most of the turns are incredibly fast and many include much of that signature elevation change. As jaw-dropping as the track is, you have to remember that this is the modern truncated layout. The old one, raced until 1979, was 14 kilometers in length, yet carried an average speed of 150 miles per hour. Present-day safety measures do cut down on the danger, but even in recent history, the circuit has proven deadly. It's clear why this track continues to be revered and respected by racers the world round. Such an amazing circuit. I'm glad this is one of the most visited places that the Grand Prix legends go to, Alex.
Well, Spa really needs no introduction here, Joe. I mean, especially with the lengthy Kemmel Straight heading into Lecombe at turns 5 and 6, then you go down the hill all the way through to Stavelot. Then they're on through Blanchiment and into the chicane before you start doing it all over again, going to the top of the circuit at La Source. It is really a wonderful, fantastic and iconic track in its own right, and the drivers are going to have a lot of fun racing here today.
Yep, going to be a lot of the slipstream battles that we tend to see at this circuit. Now, as for the championship, things are a bit odd because it's going to look relatively close, only 29 points with 60 points for a win, but when you remember the drop points, Audrius Valenteus effectively only needs third places to wrap things up the remainder of the season. So Topi Courtenay, even if he wins every single race, still cannot come away the champion and has really got to work hard to try and catch Audrius Valenteus. Togo Hisada and Nicola Kaki split by only 3 points to try and decide third place. They're in quite a tussle out there. They've been grabbing whatever few podiums they can all season long, since they've really been mostly eaten up by Valenteus and Courtenay for those top 2 spots. And then farther down, you can see we get some good battles between Seb Tixier and his wonderful neighbor Gary Ho fighting for 7th, along with John Olsen and Laust Olsen having a little bit of an Olsen fight for 9th. But that is just the F1 standings. Let's take a look at the F2 standings.
Yep, and in that consideration, Victor Alonso Diaz leads by 33 points ahead of Tobias Harnby. Alan Graham rounds out the top three, a further 36 points adrift. With Andreas Hecht and Doug Cloud and Campbell Wallace very close in terms of the battle for P4, 16 points separating those three drivers ahead of Thomas Sunny Sinha, Mats Linden, Renato Yankee, and Brandon White, rounding out your top 10 in the F2 division, Joe.
They hold a Nations Cup in this series, and currently up at the top of that, it is the Ukraine with Valenteus giving most of the points for that. Finland as well being contributed by Korteniemi. But then you don't see Italy until you get to sixth place. Nicola Kaki not currently helping them as high up as you would expect. It is Japan instead who sits there in third, with Togo Hisada doing a very good job bringing them up the order. From there, watch out for the battle for seventh. You've got the United States, Palestine, France, and Hong Kong, all within just a spare few points between them. But before we get to the racing, why don't we take a look at today's race details?
So for the Grand Prix Legends, it's round 10 out of 12, 15 laps of the iconic Spa-Francorchamps circuit. As always, open setups, no spare cars. So if you get it wrong and you end up with a very damaged vehicle, you're going to be out of the race. Drive through at 17 incident points and a disqualification from the race itself at 25.
And we are in the midst of the qualifying right now, but it takes so long to get around here, even in these extremely fast cars, that there's no times on the board. So we're waiting to see what everybody is able to put in. Now, worth noting that the lap is so long, we might not see 2 laps for a number of drivers. They might only get the one in.
Yeah, it's all about timing it in terms of that window here at Spa. And it's not going to be an easy one, as Topi Korteniemi makes his way out of Pouan and heading down into Les Fagnes. And as the Finn dives onto the brakes, you can see the car itself just hunker down that little bit, particularly at the front end. And now it's going to be down in towards Campus and Stavlo. You can run a little bit wide, but don't touch 2 wheels into the gravel, because you're going to kick a lot of dust up and compromise your exit out of Stavlo. Then it's hard on the power all the way through of Corpulfer, heading up towards Blanchimont. And the big thing is, in these cars, you are going to have to do a little bit of a lift rather than hit the brakes, and then all the way to the chicane, and then a slight incline up the hill. Mind out for the sausage curves, because they will pirouette the cars around on a sixpence. And Topi Korteniemi pushes towards the start-finish line. And that's it. Well, it's actually round the corner, because we're actually using the classic Grand Prix side of things. So it's down the hill from La Source. And John Olsen has already gone in with a 2:24.5. Nicola Cocky to the top, 2:23.3. Topi Korteniemi, 2:22.1.
0.7 of a second faster. So a great first lap. What about Valenteus? Normally he likes to go late, but obviously he can't go very late on this one. So he's already getting ready to set that first lap. And there you see our current points leader come to the start line, a 2:22.3. And that is going to be about a quarter of a second behind Topi Korteniemi. Topi is striking back.
Hang on a second. Togo Hisada. Let's see what he does. 2:22.965. Puts him behind Kevin Verbruggen from the Netherlands. So P4 for the man from Japan.
And you could tell that he crossed the line a little bit too late, because we're now less than 2 minutes to go. So he's one of those that is not going to get a second lap. Gary Ho, Laus Stolson, Ricardo Rees, Clemente Chamois, all not going to get a chance to try and put a second time around in. Gary Ho crosses, and he gets a 2:24.777. So that's good enough for 11th for him. This is Nicola Cocky. on his second flyer towards the latter half of the lap. This is out of Stavolo. Now, in most modern cars, pretty much all modern cars, it is just an easy, flat-out blast. But in these things, going as quick as they are, over 160 miles an hour, it gets very sketchy through this portion.
Yeah, you could just hit. Even Nicola Cocchi actually had to downshift there as well. You could actually hear it through the way that the car was handling, and the nose end dies as he goes through into the chicane. Not exactly the greatest first sector, was nearly 4/10 slower than Topi Cortiniemi. 32.7 in the mid sector, comes across the traditional start-finish line for the GP loop of this circuit, but through out of La Source, down the through the little bump. And can Nicola Cocchi in the number 3 go any higher? Can he beat Togo Hisada on this particular occasion? Not quite. That is a 2:23.161. Keeps him fifth at the moment. Kevin Verbruggen doesn't improve. Laust Olsen in the meantime jumps up to 10th before Ilka Cottisalo rounds out the top 10 in the number 11. But Valenteus now on his way down the hill, heading towards the start-finish line. And let's see. He does, and that keeps him P2, 2:22.207, and that is it for qualifying. 4 drivers not setting a lap time in that session there, Joe.
Nearly 2.5 minutes, and it wound up only a 1/10 of a second between P1 and P2, with Topi Cortiniemi taking the pole. Andres Valenteus will start from second. Kevin Verbruggen continues to show massive improvement these latest seasons and is starting from third. An incredible lap from him. Togo Hisada will be P4, Nicola Cocchi 5th, and Ove Trangrade in 6th. And it's Seb Tixier, P7. He's got Mikhail Zabala in the 8th spot. Row 5 sees Glenn Becker to the inside and Pedro Timoladri rounding out your top 10.
Then it's Ilka Cottisalo and Laust Olsen rounding out row 6. Benjamin Socko and John Olsen on row 7. Gary Ho and Eric Leukel on row 8, followed by Ray Oliver, Kyle Ridley, Cam Porter, and Josephine Becker rounding out your top 20.
Last few cars, as we do have a split field today, sees Ryan Turcotte starting 21st, Aku Liski in 22nd, and Alistair Morton in 23rd. Then it's Zach Barton, first of our drivers that failed to set a time. He'll be 12th. Cockram in 25th. Excuse me, that's row 12 for Zach. 26 is Ricardo Ruiz, and then at 27th goes to Clement Chamois. And this is going to certainly be an interesting one to watch because of the slipstream being so powerful in these cars. Coming up to the braking of Lecombe, how many passes will we see through there? Will it be an easy slam dunk, or since this car has been changed in recent time, will it be a little bit harder to immediately get by? The engines are revving, the lights are up, and the green flag is now out. We plunge down the hill towards Eau Rouge and see who gets it sorted out. It's not going to be as quick as typical since they start partway down the hill, but it is still challenging up and over the hill. It does look like Topi is leading, but barely, as Andres Valenteus starts to close in, coming down the straight. He looks around the outside, tries to outbrake his rivals. We got a car in the air in the background, absolutely cartwheeling as they go through side by side for the lead. It is action everywhere, and Valenteus does not have the pass done yet. Cortiniemi is still fighting him, as Verbruggen watches on from behind. This battle is unending, Alex, as they now come into Rivage.
Yep, Noah's Ark style as Togo Hisada looking to the outside of Kevin Verbruggen. Topi Cortiniemi retakes the lead from Valenteus, and 4 cars with a mechanical black flag. I think it might have been Akuliski that was the one that went spinning in the air and rolling. He got a mechanical black flag along with Ray Oliver, Ryan Turcotte and Zach Barton. But Topi Cortiniemi, oh look at that, Verbruggen around the outside of Valenteus. As we see on board with Togo Hisada, Mr. Excitement, whenever it comes to Saturdays and Sundays in these classic racing cars. We've seen it before that especially if anyone might remember Mount Panorama. I certainly do, because that was an absolute corker, but it's going to be just as exciting as going through the gravel. Coming into Stavelot is Kevin Verbruggen. Might lose a little bit of speed coming out of the corner. And Odris Valenteus, the number 1 car, is right on his case as they head through Curb Paul Frere on the run to Blanchimont.
That's
and
quite wide there.
That's more than wide. That's exit stage right, and at least there's a runoff area there.
Exactly, and Valenteus gets a spot back that I think he very desperately wanted. I found it interesting that Kevin was able to sneak by. That held up Audrius for a little bit of time, and in fact, it's a slowdown penalty for Verbruggen. I wonder if that's from going wide there out of Blanchimont, and he's still giving it back as Nicolas Kaki is trying to go around the outside, but unable to get the job done. Seb Tixier, though, in the process, did sneak through.
Yeah. Benjamin Soko and Kyle Ridley are swapping places at the moment. And there's Mikhail Zabla. We saw him a little bit earlier on this season, the man from Palau. Well, that's Glenn Becker from Palau in the number 13 car. Zabala trying to do what he can as we ride on board with the number 13. And he's already on the brakes, about 200 metres from Lecombe. Nose dives on the front end of the vehicle, and he manages to get through on Temaladri for P9. Right, got a replay coming up of that big crash coming onto the Kemmel Straight. Now, they do say about flying fins. How's about that one for Aku Liski?
Wow. Yeah, wheel-to-wheel contact, never a good thing.
Oy.
And a bunch of cars with nothing they can do. There's almost no way you can predict where that car is going to wind up. And everybody's trying to stay flat out down that stretch, not to lose time, since there's no cautions to bunch everybody up. So it was a recipe for disaster. Amazingly, you said we had 4 cars with a meatball flag. Oh, no, excuse me. It looks like Liski is retired. I was going to say, did somebody already repair after that incredible wreck? But no, it looks like Liski is put up the white flag and decided it's not worth trying to get this car back out. Oh, for this race is Glenn Becker loses the rear coming into Stavelot, off into the gravel, and he's gonna get back on at a very sketchy spot. He does stay off to the left-hand side, thankfully, but there was a lot of cars that had to adjust their line.
Yeah, there was definitely a close bit of racing there. Well, definitely sideways, as seeing Josephine Becker and Cam Porter battling away. There's the man from Canada in the number 26 car. They go through Blanchimont. They're going through Blanchimont very, very shortly. They've got the run up towards the chicane. Cam Porter to the outside of Ricardo Ruiz. And he just about makes the inside line coming out of the chicane. Greatly done by the number 26 to hold on ahead of Gary Ho, who's got Glenn Becker closing in. Ray Oliver is another one that's picked up a mechanical black flag. Clément Charmois picked up a black flag, well, a black flag as Valenteus fastest lap of the race, 2:22.807. Again, like you said, Joe, these closing speeds in these very, very light and, well, aerodynamically inefficient of the, you know, if you compare it to modern day machinery, as Valenteus has started to close in on Topi Courtiniemi. So I wouldn't count out the Finn just yet, but in the meantime, Hisada and Tixier. Tixier's not had the best run of luck. I did mention about Bathurst earlier on. Well, he went flying into turn 1 within the first few laps of the race, and it's not the only time we've seen the man from France have a bit of a big wreck through sometimes not of his own making.
He does seem to have some notoriously bad luck in this series, but interesting that as we watched Cam, he seemed none too pleased with his performances out of some of those corners. This is Ricardo Ruiz's perspective to show what it feels like. And yeah, there goes one car up into the air. Does he make it through this? I would assume so. Just managing to avoid a wheel and a car somehow spinning above his head. And that has allowed him to run up to 17th, gaining 9 spots from the start.
Yeah, bit of good judgment there on the part of Ricardo Maurice, who's already up 9 places so far. Hardest charge of the race. But again, it's just, you know, when we get to the latter stages of this race, anything and everything can happen, Joe. We both know that. So we are effectively down to 24 runners and riders. Ray Oliver is still going around the circuit, even with the mechanical black flag. So, yeah, and there is, oh, now who's that going off the circuit? Kyle Ridley. Oh dear, as well, Valenteus did get through on Courtiniemi, but the gap has sort of readjusted itself to about 0.3 of a second, as it's Courtiniemi, Valenteus and Hisada. And this is going to be a moment where Valenteus runs a little bit deep out of resource. Courtiniemi back through, but Valenteus back on the offensive. Keep your eyes on Togo Hisada. And from Japan, just behind, who's just set the new fastest lap of the race. 2 minutes, 22.469. And here comes Hisada to make it 3 is a crowd.
Oh, he's trying to get down to the inside of Malmedy, but to no effect. Valenteus is not resting on his laurels. He is trying to take this top spot away. He does not want to sit and wait to try and snipe this position. But Topi Courtiniemi so far successfully holding him at bay. He's going to hold on around the outside, in fact, down through No Name. But this could give the inside into Puhan. Here's that 3 wide you were talking about, and then a reconsideration by Togo Hisada. That's going to send Topi a little bit wide. Once again, opening the door. Valenteus gets pinched down on the exit, loses a little bit of speed. Once again, Hisada, he wants to get in on this fight, but this is finally what Valenteus needed to take the lead away. Will Hisada have second after all this?
Could be very close, as they're going to be heading towards Campus and Stavelo right now. Hisada to the inside of Courtiniemi, Tixier and Verbruggen as it's side by side. Courtiniemi through at Stavelo, back through for second position. And here comes the cavalry. Now Valenteus has got a lead coming into Kerpaul Frere around 8.5 of a second. Hisada in the wheel tracks of Courtiniemi, Tixier and Verbruggen not that far behind, up towards Blanchimont. And you can just see there is Seb Tixier, and look at that for a rig, ladies and gentlemen. VR, full immersion, hydraulics, that's what you want with the full Grand Prix Legends experience, because Seb Tixier, that's a wicked setup with a good old classic 3-spoke steering wheel with a good old leather, well, red leather banding on where he's holding it. So well played by Seb Tixier to go full VR, and he's even got, hang on, he's got a pedal cam there as well, just for good measure.
Love to see the full getup that he has. Notoriously, he and Gary Ho actually have the same setup, so they will sometimes even have admitted swap parts if one of them breaks. But we watched that battle between Seb and Kevin, and I think the Dutchman has managed to sneak by, as Seb will have to sit back and watch him go. They don't want to battle too much here because they've been gifted an opportunity to fight for the win the way that these top 3 are tussling.
Oh, they clearly have. And sometimes one of the other key words here at Spa, surviving. As there we see Gary Ho, and from Hong Kong. Now that was Eric Leukel going off track coming out of Les Combes, straight lining the chicanes. That's a slowdown penalty. The number 25 is going to have to serve, but nevertheless the battles continue onwards, and Valenteus, here's that pendulum swing again, Joe, because Courtiniemi is there. So is Hisada. For Brugge now back into play. Seb Tixier, and it could be 6 cars battling for the lead if Nicola Cocchi closes in that 1.5 second differential.
We'll see if he can cut that down, because he definitely was a little farther away last time I looked. I'm kind of impressed that Courtiniemi was able to claw this back as well, because yes, the slipstream is powerful, but he was a good ways back from Audrius after he was fighting with Togo there, try and retain that second place. So he does not want to lose touch with Valenteus this early in the race, because that could mean he could scoot away. But as long as you've got that pull from the draft, then you've got a shot at maybe taking the win in this very high-speed circuit. Remember, this is not the finish line here. They have to go all the way around La Source, down past the classic pits to that finish line to wrap this race up. So there are going to be opportunities at the end, more than you expect than normal, to try and take the lead away.
Yeah, as there we see Kyle Ridley now up to 13th position, battling away with Benjamin Soko, and Ridley through at the source gets round the outside, so a great job there by the Australian. Kevin Verbrugge now fastest of anybody, 2 minutes 22.398 as Courtiniemi down Licon. Very close to the back end of Valenteus and Hisada, getting very sideways. I mean, that's the thing about these cars. You get a little bit too eager on the right, on the loud pedal, the back end wants to try and swap axes with the front of the car. Hisada tight to the apex. Now into no name, and again just calm, cool, bit of throttle modulation, now go full on the power. This is a wonderful onboard shot we've got here, going through into Pouhon. Now just waiting, you can see he's just feathering that throttle. And through the second half of Pouhon, who's trying to apply the power a little bit earlier, but the car wanted to step out. You can see how loosely handling these cars are, and when someone's driving like this and you can see the back end of the car, even from this onboard, you get that feeling that the car is running just that little bit loose. They all tend to do that, and it just really gives the driver a little bit of a challenge. But look at how close to the curbing out of Stavlo Togo Hisada was, and now it's time to go full throttle.
Yeah, and we've heard drivers say that this new version of the car is a little bit easier to take sideways, and you actually get a little speed that way. For Hisada, I feel like this is a boon, because he's really well known for being good at drifting the car and liking an extremely loose car, the way he sets it up. He often complains about it being understeery, despite us watching him counter-steering through many corners. This battle is not over between the three of them. In fact, I think they've dropped Verbrugge just a bit, as he's now got about a second and a half to make up, while we ride on board. A look down to the inside as the brake rotors glow. Topi Courtiniemi gets close, but he's not past.
No, he's got to bide his time. Wait until they get to the crest of the hill at Eau Rouge et Radiant. And you can just see 0.19 of a second, and now the slipstream will come into play, not just for Courtiniemi, but also Hisada. There we see it. Valenteus waiting to pick his moment. Here comes Courtiniemi to the inside here at Lecom. And the man from Finland goes wheel to wheel with the Ukrainian. The man from Japan, Togo Hisada, waiting to spring a surprise on the pair of them. They're wheel to wheel. And there is Hisada again. And once more, you see these helicam shots, and it really gives you a great sense of car positioning. And Kevin Verbrugge is now starting to come back at them. He's only 7/10 adrift. He was half a second at one point, as now they come out of no name and then head towards Lifagne. But this is what we come to expect when you have Valenteus, Courtiniemi and Hisada going toe-to-toe for the race lead.
So the battle rages on. Will we start to get 5 cars involved? Seb Tixier trying desperately to catch back up once again as they work their way through Lifagne and then into Stavolo once again. You can see that red car in the background. That is Seb Tixier trying to close up. Now up in the corner, we got a replay of John Olsen down through Speaker's Corner and just stays out of the barrier. It was close there.
Yeah, he's dropped down to, looks like 15th place in the number 9 car, but through Blanchimont we go again. And it's half a second covering the top 3, give or take. And then the hard braking zone into the chicane. Again, they've got to then wait until they get through the source. It's all about picking your moments. Valenteus, Cortiniemi, Hisada. Verbrugge now has lost more time in that final sector. It looks like it's the final sector he's losing all that time, because the gap now is 2 seconds from Togo Hisada back to the man from the Netherlands. Down the hill they go. And it's going to be lap 8 completed here at Spa. Cortiniemi now finding that he's losing a little bit of time to Valenteus. And more to the point, Hisada's got the run on the fin in second. Can Togo Hisada try and break the deadlock between himself and Topi Cortiniemi? Well, not until they come, it won't happen.
And I saw him get on the radio there. I didn't make out what he said, but I almost wonder if that was a let's work together sort of thing, because it looked like he lifted on his way up to the chicane, not really wanting to cost the two of them time. Up to Audrius Valenteus. Back to Gary Ho once again, a little bit farther down into the braking of Lecombe. And these drivers certainly have their work cut out for them. 4 of them all battling for what is effectively Cam Porter's 16th spot.
Yeah, and well, it just goes to show how close everything is at this moment, because he's got Josephine Becker, Cam Porter right in front of him, with Glenn Becker and Eric Leukel not that far behind as they complete the top 20. So it is still that chess game. And this is a pretty people might think, well, why are they all standing in a line? Well, sometimes here at Spa, if you're in a vehicle like this, sometimes you've got to really, really pick your moments and decide when you're going to tee up that maneuver. But you could be thinking it, okay, might have a chance going into Blanchimont, but you're thinking about that move at Speaker's Corner.
And it is an absolute chess game as well between drivers, with it being a little bit easier to pass here. You can't just take it and expect to stay ahead of the driver, as we've seen between Cortiniemi and Valenteus, although Topi's been having a bit of a struggle getting that repass done to take back the lead. He'll break down into La Source once again, as we see Laust Olsen, and a little bit of a fight here. This is for 10th position, and that's Ilka Kotasalo. He's going to be able to get by, as Ilka has a bad exit coming out of the bus stop chicane. He's going to try and fight back down into La Source, but no dice. And Laust Olsen will hold on to the spot. Instead, Kyle Ridley is just about going to get by.
Yeah. And Ilka Kotasalo now drops down into 12th position, with Kyle Ridley going on past. But again, this 3-way battle, it always seems to be the usual suspects here, as we've got 7 laps to go, including this one down the hill. And then, so let's have a look. We've got a replay. This is with regards to Gary Ho, and this is into the chicane. Oh, and he's gonna, he's buried the throttle too early. Backwards he goes out of the chicane, and the man from Hong Kong drops down to 19th position. So still, again, it's anyone's game. Nicola Cocky has now got through on Kevin Verbruggen. Michal Sabala, Ove Trengraid, Petra Temaladri, and Laust Olsen round out your top 10. But these 3 have kept a consistent pace. Valenteus, high 22.5. Cortiniemi, high 22.8. Hisada, mid 22.4. So it's really tough to say who's going to get the better of who in this race, because these top 3 have been so consistently quick. They've dropped everybody, and even Seb Tixier in 4th place is having a bit of a struggle trying to close up in on them. But meantime, here comes Cortiniemi to the outside of Valenteus, and it's into the chicane, the fin to the outside of the Ukrainian, and Cortiniemi is just about to get through, but who's going to get the traction pull down into La Source? Cortiniemi by a whisker. Valenteus will have the inside for La Source, and Togo Hisada showed his nose to the pair in front and went, I am not going to do that to you guys here. But he gets a good run coming out of the source. So Hisada could be the dark horse here as we head down once again. 6 to go. Valenteas, Cortiniemi, and there you heard that lift there from Togo Hisada. He did not want to cause any trouble for himself, let alone his two chief rivals in front of him.
He knows if something happens to the pair of them, he could inherit this lead, so he's got to play it cool here, and in fact, it's going to erupt once again up into Lacombe, this time to the inside for the Finn, and he's going to elbow his way past, and there you have it. I said Togo needed to wait patiently, and it's paid off as it's moved him up in a second now.
Good spatial awareness there as Valenteas kicks a wheel into the gravel off of Rivage, and then, well, out of Malmedy into Rivage, down the hill they go. So Togo Hisada is piggy in the middle as they come out of Speaker's Corner, and it's going to be the run down to Pouan. So there's every possibility, and now Nicolas Cocky has got through on Seb Tixier. Josephine Becker's had a drama, and that was coming out of Lecom, heading into Malmedy before we head down the hill into Rivage. So the number 21 from Germany, not having made that many positions so far, but Ricardo Ruiz, 12 positions gained, and here we go, replay in the top right-hand corner with Josephine Becker, has to use the off-track road coming out, so she's had to escape, exit stage left, use the escape road at Lecom, and that is why Josephine has tumbled back down to 18th position. So we've got a replay in the top right, Topi Cortiniemi. This was from a little bit earlier on, and now Hisada trying to go to the lead through at Blanchimont. Here comes Cortiniemi. Hisada sticks it to the outside of Valenteas, as we will oh, that's a bit of a cut across the chicane there by Topi Cortiniemi. I think he was still 2 wheels in there?
I don't see a slowdown penalty for him, so I think he's good. But it was such a short-lived lead for Topi. He's going to be kicking himself that he's given up that track advantage so quickly, and now he's got to do that hard work all over again, Alex.
Yeah, and then we've got Ove Trengrade getting through on Mikael Zabala. And Zabala definitely made an impression on his first race. I think it was when we went to, I don't remember which oval we went to, but he was definitely one that was battling for the race lead. Valenteas now has a half-second advantage over Topi Cortiniemi. Seb Tixier through on the inside of Nicolas Cocky. Kevin Verbruggen waiting in the wings, and Tixier just gets through on the second phase through Lecom.
Almost feels like these three have kind of settled into their own fight, maybe given up a little bit on trying to catch up to those in front, because they're certainly going back and forth themselves. Tixier leads the trio, Cocky in the middle, with Verbruggen at the back in 6th. In fact, we couldn't really even see much of the leaders ahead of them plunging down the hill towards Pouan. That's how much time they've lost. Yeah.
And that just goes to show how quickly, when you're concentrating in on your own battle, if you've got 2 cars behind you like Seb Tixier, the man from France has got at the moment in the forms of Nicolas Cocky and Kevin Verbruggen, it's not going to be an easy one, and the gap between them is about 0.4 of a second. And the gap, well, funny thing is the lead between Valenteas and Cortiniemi, that is the gap that is really between Tixier, Cocky and Verbruggen right now. As Nicolas Cocky dips a wheel into the gravel, coming through out of campus and into Stavelot, now into Curb Paul Frere. So Tixier's got to be very, very careful at this particular point. Can the Italian make a move through, or can the man from the Netherlands pick up the pieces if something goes awry? Into the chicane, Cocky to the inside, shows his nose. That's all. Tixier deep into the chicane, gets it all crossed up. Tail end slides to the left-hand side, and he manages to gather it back up. He nearly lost 2 positions there. One to Nicolas Cocky, one to Kevin Verbruggen.
So down to 5th for the Frenchman, as he's continued to be chased by Kevin. coming downhill, and we're down to 4 laps to go rather at this stage. Interestingly, Verbruggen still holds the fastest lap of this race as the fuel burns off. I would have thought that maybe we'd see some of the leaders take that away from him. That was a bad exit from Seb, and he's going to be vulnerable. He knows it. He covers the middle of the road. Kevin's going to try and see if he can outbrake him around the outside. We've seen those passes work before, and indeed, he's got a nose ahead. He cuts across.
Yeah, and it was all because of that difficult run for Seb Tixier. And you have that drama coming out of Eau Rouge et Radiant. You're going to definitely be at the mercy of those behind. Ilka Cotisalo battling away with Lars Olsen and Kyle Ridley. This is for 10th position. So this is not going to be an easy one. There is the Aussie in the number 20 car, just behind Lars Olsen in the very brightly yellowed, the bright yellow and purple number 14 car. If it's just all yellow, I think you could definitely use the yellow submarine Beatles reference there. But these laps have gone past very, very quickly here, Joe. And still, even with the track temperature of 87 degrees Fahrenheit, that's 31 degrees Celsius, air temp 19 degrees Celsius, 66 degrees Fahrenheit, wind to the south of around 16 kph, that's 10 miles an hour. These drivers have put on a very, very interesting show here today.
That's a decently stiff wind that they're having to deal with out there, especially at these high speeds where the cars actually get lighter. There's a little bit of lift instead of downforce that they experience. And Topi Kortsanemi is probably well aware of that fact. Can he manage to eventually fly by Audrius Valenteus as they're going to be coming down to 3 laps to go in just a minute. Togo Hisada still within range as well. They get almost to touching distance between them around La Source hairpin, but no contact made. Topi Kortsanemi trying to stay as near as he can to that gearbox to try and pick up the pieces.
And sometimes here at Spa, as Kortsanemi knew, fastest lap of the race, a 22.204 by the Finn in second position. That gap is coming down 2 tenths. It's not going to be enough to help him slingshot past Valenteus into Lecom off of the Camel Straight. Hisada, meantime, though, you might think that 7 tenths is going to be a big old gap, but in these Lotus 49 cars, you don't need to worry about that. You just have to pick your points. And as you said, Togo Hisada has been very, very shrewd in how he's parlaying this race. Into Speaker's Corner, then the run down into Lifagne. Cam Porter, oh, he's definitely hanging the tail out on that, number 26, as he tries to get through on Glenn Becker. They've got, funny enough, they've got Josephine Becker right behind as well. So the number 21 starting to find a little bit of form here in the dying stages. Kyle Ridley started on the outside of row number 9 and is currently P11, but still, Ricardo Ruiz in 14th, having started 26th on the grid, is the hardest charger of the day here at Spa. 12 positions gained, as Clément Chamois has been in the pits for nearly 11 minutes and 20 seconds. And here we go, Porter to the outside. This is brave through at Pouhon, and the Canadian does the job. A little bit of a wry smile I saw in the corner of his mouth there from Cam Porter. There we go, there's a little glint. And he must have absolutely loved making that move round the outside of all places at Pouhon.
He's actually in the middle. That's Glenn Becker that held him off through there. Cam almost pulled a blinder coming out of No Name, getting a nice over-under. And then that's how he got to the inside of Pouhon. Just didn't quite have the speed. Regardless, I think he's, like you said, he's enjoying this fight between himself. And I don't know why I didn't realize before that we'd have to clarify, but both the Beckers not related to one another. Glenn, actually an American, I believe, Josephine, a German driver out there, coming down to the inside once again. And Cam Porter wants to spot. He's given a little bit of space at the inside. There is nearly a touch between them.
I do have to say, nice decor on the side of Cam Porter's wall there as Topi Cortiniemi to the inside of Ordinance Valenteus. He's going to try and get round the outside now as they go through into Malmedy. The two leaders still wheel to wheel, they're both sideways to the left, and Cortiniemi, oh, that back end is all over the shop. Now through into Rivage. Hisada is there now. And look, Cortiniemi trying to go tight to the inside of Rivage, puts him on the outside. Here into No Name corner, and look at the run here from Togo Hisada. 3/10 covers them, and now the pendulum swings. 2 to go. It'll be white flag at lap next time around. And Togo Hisada has been very, very patient. He's had the patience of a saint in this race. And now Cortiniemi thinks, well, Valenteus, you are not going to take the win. But who's not to say Hisada could steal it from the pair of them?
They were so close to touching multiple times in those last few corners. And it's a testament to the skill of these three. We talked to Topi last week about the trust between them, and he stressed that, yes, you have so much trust in your competitors, especially battling against the same cars week in and week out. But how close are they willing to get after we've seen a car get airborne so far in this race from wheel to wheel touching? They do not want to have that happen at 170, 180 miles an hour here. They all slam on the brakes once again, coming down into the bus stop chicane. That time I think there was a little bit of contact between Topi and Togo.
Yeah, that was nip and tuck, and Togo lights up the rear tyres coming out of the chicane. And then here we are to the top of the circuit, into the little bump, close to the wall. Hisada gets very close to the wall, down the hill. White flag in the air, lap 15 out for this race here at Spa-Francorchamps is very much underway, and Hisada has now got to go banzai mode if he wants any opportunity of getting through on Valenteus or Cortiniemi, and we know this man can bring the not just the heat but also the excitement to the racing.
It's forcing a defense from Valenteus as Cortiniemi tries to go around the outside. There's a deep send from Togo Hisada trying to make up ground on the pair of them. As you can see, the battle for fourth also raging between Kaki and Verbruggen. It looks like Kaki comes out in front on that one. Valenteus on a rear guard.
Yeah, Tixier has got it sticking his nose up the inside of Verbruggen. And that is down into Rivage. He tried at Malmedy, did the Frenchman, but unfortunately close but no cigar. But this is, we've got two great battles. The top three for first place and the win, and then the three behind for fourth, fifth and sixth respectively. But yeah, Cortiniemi at the moment, he's got to be very, very close to the gearbox of Valenteus, and maybe it's going to be the case that when they come out of Le Fagne into Campus and Stavelot, it's going to be that all-important run through Cours pour le Frère that could decide how they will run through Blanchimont, and a little touch on the left rear wheel through the gravel by Topi Cortiniemi. Here we go, final run here at Spa on lap 15.
And there's two good opportunities here. The bus stop chicane, the first one, then La Source before they get to the finish line. Who will try and use the outbraking where? Will they be close enough? It's not looking like it, at least at this chicane, as they are too far apart, all three of them. But they'll close in, accordion together, and now you've got to get the throttle down as best you can. Coming up to the hairpin again, Valenteus masterfully pulls away from Topi Cortiniemi. This might be too far gone to try and overtake. He sends it in as deep as he can anyways, but it is not enough. Valenteus started from pole. He didn't lead the whole way, but he is going to lead the final lap as he takes another win.
Oh, 0.632 of a second separating the top three as Valenteus uses the pit lane exit. Nicolas Coqui takes P4, ahead of Kevin Verbruggen. Seb Tixier takes P6, over Trengrade and Mikhail Zabala. They are literally a couple of car lengths apart. They finish in the top 8. Pedro Timoladri and Laust Olsen round out your top 10. Cam Porter is going to try and battle away with Josephine Becker for 17. It's the run to the line. The Canadian is not going to get past the German and ends up in 18th position. As I said, nice decor there, Cam Porter. A bunch of number plates and also an OZ racing wheel. I don't know whether that was formerly a clock, but definitely something to have pride of place next to your sim rig.
And Eric Lukol is going to manage to come home with 20th. And in fact, 22 of our 27 starters will complete all 15 laps. Eventually, Ryan Turcotte managed to get back on the circuit, but a few laps down because of him being involved in that massive wreck a little bit early on. I said, we might get a classic here today because of the way this track races, and I think we were delivered that with the top three all the way to the line, only split by less than a second, pretty much the entire race practically. Valenteus won it, though, over Topi Kortaniemi, extending his points lead, making it ever harder for Topi to have hopes of a championship. Toga Hisada will finish with another third, Nicola Kaki in fourth, and Kevin Verbruggen in the fifth position. Seb Tixier slipping back to sixth, but still good points for him today, as Ove Trangrade was seventh, Mikhail Zabala was eighth, Pedro Timoladri ninth, and Laust Olsen rounds out your top 10.
Then we go over the page. Kyle Ridley makes up a few places, 7 spots to finish ahead of Ilka Cotisolo, with Benjamin Soko rounding out your top 13. Ricardo Ruiz, hardest charger of the race, up 12 spots to finish ahead of John Olsen, who completes the top 15, with Glenn Becker, Josephine Becker, Cam Porter, Gary Ho, and Eric Leukel rounding out your top 20.
Last couple cars to finish the race was Alistair Morton in 21st and Matt Cockram in 22nd. Ray Oliver did not see the finish there in 23rd, but Ryan Turcotte did in 24th. Clement Chaumois was 25th. Barton and Liskey also DNFs here today, unfortunately. It looks like we've got our 5th place finisher, Kevin Verbruggen, ready to chat with us. Kevin, we were watching both your battle with Nicola and Seb along with the battle for the lead up in front of you. And it looks like it was an incredible fight all race long between the three of you.
Yeah, that was very tense all race long. I feel like I definitely had a bit of pace over Seb and Nicola, but the track was very, very dirty all race long, or at least very well worn, and that's something I've been struggling with for a long time, and it was very clear here in the race. I mentioned something before the race about Blanchimont being very slippery, and we saw what happened on lap 1 with the heavy fuel and the slipstream. First time going there and managing to get a slowdown, but it resulted in a very fun race for 4th place.
At what point did you three realize that this was going to be a battle for 4th instead of a battle for the win? Because at times it looked like the group was catching up to the top 3, and then suddenly you fell back a little later on, and then you catch back up, and it yo-yoed.
Yeah, for the lead, they were of course also battling, and every time you do that on this track, you lose a bunch of time. So at least the first half of the race, it felt like even if we were not right there in the slipstream, if they started fighting again, we could just catch right up to them and get involved. Because if you're in the slipstream, you can definitely try to get a run and try to catch someone off guard. But I think it was like lap 8 or 9 where Nicola and Seb went side by side and actually tried to hold it side by side for longer. And I'm like, yeah, they've also realized it's going to be for 4th here. So let's just see what we can get.
Well, I have to say thank you for the entertainment. Great race out there. And hopefully we'll get to talk to you next week when we head over to Mosport.
Thank you.
That was Kevin Verbruggen finishing P5. And I believe that sounds like we've got Alex talking with Topi Kortaniemi.
Yeah, it was good race.
Well, Topi Kortaniemi, another entertaining battle as always between yourself and Maurice and Togo. He's definitely. There we go. Topi, good afternoon.
Oh, hello. Yeah, sorry, I got some technical issues.
No, don't worry about that. It's technology, it happens. But again, another fascinating chess game between yourself and Odrius and Togo. You know, at times you were leading the way, and then again, it was that pendulum swing. It always happens between you three when you hit the front end of the field and clear away from everybody else.
Yeah, when I got the lead, I made some mistakes all by my own, and got to admit I got a little caught off guard when I was looking at 2 cards in my mirrors before Pujon. I was thinking we were gonna go 3 wide, but I just threw wide by myself.
Yeah, I think at times Togo was, you know, we normally see that Togo can be quite aggressive with his overtaking and his attacking, but he was very, very shrewd. He was very, very strategic, and we did nearly see a 3-wide moment between the 3 of you. But nevertheless, a great battle all the way through. But we did have a chat with, well, Joe had a chat with Kevin Verbruggen, and he said that as the car lighted up, you know, the circuit was getting a bit more slippery, especially going through Blanchimont, where you're having to lift off the accelerator, shift down a gear, keep the traction, because the car does like to be a bit sideways.
Oh yeah, I think it was just, I don't know if it's a car getting lighter, but it's so easy to overheat the tires ever so slightly, because the car doesn't immediately punish you about it. But in a race like this, you maybe start losing a little bit grip. Yeah, Blanchimont was difficult. I mean, in the draft, I think I was coming in faster than usually, and I had an understeer and coming in hot almost every lap. It's a difficult corner, you're right.
But still, at least the good thing is, it's good points for the series. We've got 2 more rounds to go. But thank you for your time as always, Toppy. And we'll see you next week for Mosport.
Yeah, thanks, Alex. See you.
Okay, big thank you there to Toppy Cortiniemi. And I think standing by with Joe Peak is Togo Hisada, our 3rd place finisher.
Indeed, and Togo, we're so used to being to seeing you kind of sticking your nose in and getting involved in races, but you seem to be very patient on this one. Were you just waiting to see how it played out until the end?
At first, I'm really slower than, both of the car ahead. I mean, at the last, warm-up practice, I'm almost 5 tenths slower on the low pace, single car. And I'm barely I'm accepted to be this race with normal round of 3rd place, but Toppy and Audrey are fighting so hard in even the first half of the race, so I can follow these guys, but it's a case with they are only battling each other. So if I'm facing with one-on-one situation a couple of times happened this race, but I'm really avoid that. I'm really I want the 3-car fight situation I need, because I know I'm lack of the race pace, and just putting some pressure on the seeing hoping something happens, but in the end they're so clean, so nice guys, and ended up in third place.
That's incredibly smart of you to approach it that way, and it didn't go unnoticed. Mick Claridge behind the scenes was telling us that he caught that, and his message to you, it sounds like, is tell him to wait till I'm back on track. Do you have a response to him?
I'm really miss Mick. Yeah.
We all miss seeing Mick out on track. Hopefully soon we'll get him back. Next time out, another very fast track with a lot of very fast corners at Mosport. Do you see yourself being able to keep up like you did here if you lack race pace?
In the case they are battling so hard like this time, Lenny, hoping to follow this, because every time battling with Toppy, battling with Aldris is incredible. It's barely it's always delivers crazy race. So I'm really looking forward to it.
We are as well. Congratulations on the podium today, Togo, and thanks for the good race.
Thank you.
Last but not least, I think we got a quick one with the driver we got to see some action with. Alex has caught up with Cam Porter.
Well, Cam, firstly, a bit of a busy time for you behind the wheel here at Spa.
Yeah, that was a really fun race, actually. Really enjoyed that one. Had a lot of fun racing with, who was in there? Glenn Becker, Josephine Becker, as well as Gary Ho for a little bit. Unfortunately, he had a spin, which was too bad. They took him out of that fight. But that was really fun. Really enjoyed that one. I was thrilled to get in 18th position or wherever it was I finished, considering I was car number 26. Being in this top split with 4,100 strength of field and the talent that races in this series is really incredible. Really fun race today.
We could really see that by the glint in your eye and that sort of wry smile on your face when we had you on camera. And I think it was Glenn Becker throwing the car to the outside of you. But Cam, difficult one at Spa. However, it's Mosport next week. Home soil. How are you fancying your chances there?
I like my chances, although I don't think there'll be a split next week. I think Spa is a really popular track, so it was unusual. So hopefully I can have a slightly better finish. Although the strength of field will be lower. But yeah, I really enjoy Mosport. I think most people will enjoy Mosport. But it's also kind of a tricky track, a lot of off camber over the crest corners. So it's important just to keep it on track, and that's what I aim for, just to be safe and keep it on track, keep points straight.
Brilliant. Well, Cam, thanks for your time, buddy. And we look forward to seeing you hopefully next week at Mosport. Well done in a very big strength of field, 4,100 being the average, finishing P18 here at Spa-Francorchamps today. Well done.
Thanks, Alex. I'll see you next week.
And that's going to wrap up our interviews. So a big thank you goes out to the entire Grand Prix Legends community for bringing us back for another season of coverage, as well as to our team tonight, Alex, Christian, and Dougie. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. The next race, as we've been saying, is at Mosport. And that'll be Saturday, May 30th at 9:30 a.m. Eastern. That's a much shorter lap than what we have here. So we'll see whether or not traffic suddenly becomes an issue, something we didn't have to deal with today. Up next, IMSA Vintage is going to another classic, Long Beach. That'll be at 1 p.m. Eastern. Be sure to check out our other broadcasts that we have listed here. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.